first created in 1961 by comic book artist Jack Kirby. The famous four Marvel family has landed themselves in the MCU world. These characters have been attempted to have screen adaptations for the past 30 years since 1994, with their 94 movie that has yet to see the day of light, their 2005, 2007, 2015, and now their 2025 film. Joining the ranks of bringing these characters to life is Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, aka Invisible Woman, Abon Moss-Bachrach as Ben Grimm, aka The Thing, and Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, aka The Human Torch. With the director Matt Shakman, who is loving his comic book lore, he brings a 1960s twist to the Earth 828, which is actually dubbed after Jack Kirby's birthday. With these characters being brought to life for the fourth time in 30 years, it will be fun to see what audiences think of these characters. This time, the Fantastic Four First Steps brings forward the villains of Julia Garner as Shala Ball, aka Silver Surfer, Ralph Fiennes as Galactus, and Paul Walter Hauser as Harvey Elder, aka Mole Man, with guest appearance of Mark Gatiss as Ted Gilbert. This will certainly be a ride for the ages, and regardless of which version of Fantastic Four you see, you'll definitely have fun. Now let me tell you my personal thoughts of this event screening of Fantastic Four. With Fantastic Four appearing in the post-credit sequence of Thunderbolts, audiences already knew that these characters were appearing in two more Avengers films, Avengers Secret Wars and Avengers Doomsday, both out later in a few years, sorry. But how they got to Earth 616 versus their present time Earth 828, that's a question for the ages. So, let me explain my opinion on these characters that I grew up with in the early 2000s. Yes, my first film was the 2005 Fantastic Four, and I revisited that film series recently, and it still holds up. Bit cheesy, but it works for the 2000s, and kind of bummed that it never kept going, but that's fine. I did watch the 2015 take. Yes, and the one that I would love to see is the 1994 take, but we all know that that one's a bit harsh. But hey, at least they're getting recognized today, and it was nice to see in the Disney Plus live stream premiere with a 5-minute special presentation on Fantastic Four First Steps, the acknowledgement of a Fantastic Four animated cartoon. That was pretty cool. Anyway, let me finally tell you what I think of my favorite family. Okay, so I've been a fan of Fantastic Four since 2005, since I was 11 years old. I'm now 31, and watching this hits the childhood nostalgia that I didn't know I was chasing. This also made me realize why I got into film, why I want to work in the film industry, why I want to create stories, why I want to be part of such an important history in filmmaking because of movies like this. Okay, so I know Fantastic Four has had, I guess, misses over the past 30 years, but we all interpret the films differently. They all came out in different points of decades, showing what we had and what we didn't have, even as times have changed. The beauty of First Steps is that it's set in the 1960s, and as someone who appreciates film, the characteristics of filmmaking techniques being used in this that were inspired by the 1960s filmmaking, the special effects are specifically made using effects talented from the 60s. Yeah, it looks a bit wonky, but it's giving 1960s. It's not giving 2025 special effects. It's purposely made itself look, but it works. It works in its specialty. Now, I do have a few issues, like why are all the women's hair boring? Okay, look, I get it. The 60s were, well, the 60s. I did not live through that. I've only been alive for 31 years. But like, why was all the women's hair boring? I'm sorry, but they did not have ponytails. okay? They did not have loose, very wavy hair, okay? They had like puffy hair. They had like bits and bobs that I don't know how to master. And I said as someone who wears her hair in a ponytail 24/7, okay? Like, why was all the women's hair boring? And why was the costumes for the women very boring? In saying that, I only know the pop culture references on 1960s fashion, so that's probably why I thought it was boring, but I digress. Okay, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, aka Human Torch. I don't know why, and I kind of feel like I need to owe Joseph Quinn an apology, but I kept thinking of him as Ken. Ryan Gosling as Ken. I don't know why, but I cannot unsee it, so I do apologize. But I mean, he's probably been a Barbie doll in a decade or so. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic. I'm on the fence about. Look, I don't hate Pedro. I've only seen him in a few things, but I don't know, there's just something. I think because his character has always been the on-the-nose character, and regardless of which interpretations I've seen, Reed has always been the one that I sat there going, I don't know how I feel about you. You're the brains, and I'm not, but like, you're very on the nose, and I don't know. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, aka Invisible Woman. Oh my god. I don't like her hair, but that's fine. I already did my little vent on that. But I liked her take. Every Invisible Woman, Sue Storm interpretation has been different to each other, and I absolutely love that. Avon Moss Bacharach, who plays Ben Grimm, the Thing, I'm really sorry, and I do owe an apology to him, but for some reason in my mind, all I was waiting for was him to yell cousin. If you've seen The Bear, you'll understand why I was like, dude, where's cousin? Why are you not yelling out cousin? I'm really sorry, but your voice, I cannot unhear you being in The Bear. That's my disappointment. But other than that, I did like his take. I love the world. From what I learned, the majority of the world was practical effects. Yes, there was special effects, and they were used, but majority of it was practical, and I absolutely love that about this film. I love that it tried to stay on path. And for me, I think one of the few reasons why I love Fantastic Four is because it reminds me so much of Star Trek. And I'm a Trekkie myself, well, half-heartedly. And there are so many comparisons I can see. It's not about trying to separate yourself from your community. It's not going, well, I'm of privilege, you're lower class, I'm gonna stay in my tower and call it a day, like some superhero characters. It's like, no, I'm going to be part of your community. I'm gonna see how I can be helpful. I'm going to see if I can prevent this happening, even though it's the nature of the course. And I love those little elements for being able to connect different elements to itself. I also love that the Fantastic Four does not feel like a Marvel movie, does not feel like a superhero movie. They feel like their own little entity, that if you did not smack a Marvel label on top of it, I could imagine it was any other film. I could imagine it as a sci-fi or an action by some unknown property, rather than exclusively Marvel. And that's what I love about this family. I loved Fantastic Four. I mean, I got annoyed by people I was sitting around. Look, I was in a semi-full cinema. The person sitting next to me irritated the hell out of me. Someone else was recording on their phone, irritated the hell out of me. But Fantastic Four First Steps is the reason why I love filmmaking. And that post-credit sequence, look, that was the one thing I was not expecting. But like, now I gotta play the waiting game, and I don't like that. But there is another post-credit scene that is kind of really cute and very like, can I be 6 years old again and just visit cartoons without shame? Because, Oh, also, the 1994 Fantastic Four cast members do make cameos in them. Unfortunately, they are a blink and a miss cameos, but they are cameos nonetheless. And I gasped, because I was like, oh, I know your faces! Anyway. This will be a really fun movie for all your Marvel fans, because I loved it and I think you will too.